Hardy Reid, welcome to Anything Cricket. Let's talk. I'll be looking at we're looking back at action on day three of the test match between New Zealand and the West Indies. And yet another disappointing day for the home side. New Zealand are highlighting quite clearly the difference between the two sides. That's just my overall view. You may have a different perspective. Feel free.
Greetings, my friend. I cannot fault you there. It's just that, like me, I would say that this was a game in two phases, the morning session and then anything after that. And at the beginning, that first pre-lunch, I felt comfortable. I was seeing good bowling, especially from Roach, just on or about the off, that outswing, that off cutter, just going and going. And then the others trying their best to copy him. They can't emulate him, so they try to copy him. But then after lunch, and then, well, just before lunch, when Roach carried Ray Williamson, that was a joy. That was a beauty because he set him up there, outer, 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 and then a little near. And I mean, it was a joy to watch and hit the bat. But other than that, Benevent, I don't know what happened when they were in for tea, apart for lunch, apart from the fact that the ball got a bit older and the bowlers, he had no backup bowlers. So that's what happened. And then after that, well, it was all over by the shouting.
Expectations, Hartley. And it wouldn't only manifest itself or didn't only manifest itself in one or the other on day three, but preparation. And preparation doesn't necessarily start with a 6 week camp before series. It starts long before that. In fact, everything we do is part of that preparation. And for the last during the COVID period or the intensity of the COVID period, one can understand all sorts of things that happen playing your competition in one place and things of that nature. Unfortunately, West Indies has continued to do that with the excuse of funds. So you've got players who are going into Test cricket, the highest level of Test cricket, and they've got limited experience in terms of bowling on different surfaces, bowling at different times, and that experience, a lack of experience. And on top of that, you are overlooking players like a Jason Holder who's got experience, and you're picking players who are nowhere as good, nowhere as good. And I suppose the idea is you want to say that you're moving forward and you're giving people a chance. Test cricket is not a net session. Test cricket is the ultimate examination. You do not go into an examination, and I'm saying this, Hardy, with close to 5 decades of experience as an educator. You do not go into an examination to learn the work. You learn the work and go into the examination. We're trying to teach people during an examination. Ain't gonna work.
Look, I am so happy that you have gone back to the COVID-19 period because that was the time when we in the beginning of the chat area where we were talking that this was the time where Cricket West Indies fell flat on their faces because they did not understand that the COVID period did not mean that you shut up shop in the house and wait until it goes or it went over. That you had to prepare. You are always, in fact, you now are being called the what you like to talk about your preparation and your academy because that is what cricket is. You the analogy you just used, I couldn't even get anywhere near. But then again, you're an educator. When you stated that you do not go into the exam to learn the word, you are quite right. We talk about coaching and coaches and all the coaches, but the coach Sammy cannot coach cricket at test level. When you get out, when maroon or wearing white, you should have been coached when you were in your respective territory, ex- exhibiting what you learned show how good you were, so you were selected to represent the region. This is what we are doing now. We are picking up whosoever will make up, putting them in West Indies cricket, and then hoping that we perform against persons who prepare. This is our problem.
But I'm not going to use the terminology I used yesterday with our friend Stephen Daniels because there's a guy called Terry Ennis who is looking to get some royalties from that. So, but I think you know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about you're throwing people in at the deep end and hoping that things work. There's a name for that, but we'll bypass the name for today. So, the West Indies side now, I really in deep water here, and I guess unless there's rain. It's just a matter of time. New Zealand lead by 481 runs, 6 wickets in hand, and still 2 days left. So, what can West Indies try to salvage? Obviously, not the game unless they get help from the weather. What can keep the team now going over the next 2 days if the game lasts that long?
That you are suggesting that New Zealand might declare tonight, but New Zealand can count only 4 wickets now. New Zealand can continue batting because you identify only 3 out of 5 days have been completed. So New Zealand can easily come and frustrate the West Indies by even batting until lunch today, later on today, and really bat them out because remember, our only batter sick. He got hair fever and eye problems. Oh, so who else is going to bat? All the others are just being there because they're in the play sets. So our batter, we started, the selection of the team was wrong. We went bowler heavy, 5 seamers, because you can't call 5 fastballs, because only person bowling over 135 is the boy Shields. All the others are just scratching over 130 kilometers. So we have 5 fast seamers, 2 of them on debut because she is now get a player, and I don't, and the other youngster, Lane, and it showed they could not string 4 balls out of 6 together to cause any problems. If they gave you 2 balls, and that when they said there, I'm talking about Shield and Lane. If they gave you 2 balls out of 6 and a good area, we were fortunate. And then the added problem we had was that Seals, his brain is not right. Something is confusing him. He is not concentrating on the cricket. He is showing more emotion now, a negative emotion, that is he showing positive when it comes to the job at hand. So with him not stepping up to the plate and being the leading bowler, we have a 37-year-old Roach who is bowling as if he's a young boy. But I mean, the only thing I got annoyed with Roach last night when I watched him was that he had bowled 3 consecutive maidens of all outswingers. And then he came back and said, okay, but let me try if you can get a little closer to give the in swinger. And the first one that came in, inside edge of the bat and gone to fine leg for 2 runs. The next one, he adjusted and went for a single. So in that second over, after bowling 3 consecutive maidens, 5 runs came off because he attempted to do what the great Malcolm Marshall said, never do. If the batter has not played that ball yet, why change it? Give him that ball until he gets accustomed to playing it, and then you go for a second ball. Otherwise, we are a 4-legged table standing on one leg, and you know that is not possible.
But you don't have to be an educator to know that. But in terms of the bowling though, Harley, you're 22 years old and you are selected because you're a fast bowler. You're not selected, let's say like when Jason Holder was looked at because somebody would have said we could bat too. You know. Um, You're not selected because you were Darren Sammy back in the day when Darren Sammy didn't necessarily wasn't going to cause anybody any sleepless nights with his bowling, but there are times when you can find it hard to get him off the square, and he could bat too. You're selected because you're supposed to be a fast bowler, and you're playing your second test match. And a 37-year-old fast bowler that almost everybody except yourself, a guy called Philip Stoner,
And you, yeah.
want to throw away. And he's bowling as fast as you and even faster. Something wrong.
Very much so. In fact, when he started to bowl, his first ball was 125 kilometers. I said, what this ball doing? He's a girl. And then he went to 128. And it's only his second ball, he went to 131 and then 130. But he never got past 135 to kilometers. But and you are quite right. And this is a young boy, but then again, he had no right in New Zealand. He cannot even get people out in Barbados. But if we want fast bowlers, we can go back with Tino Best then, because Tino Best can still bowl faster than him. You just don't want pace. He is not experienced enough to even play for Barbados. How is he going to get to West Indies?
Well, he came through the academy system, I believe, but the comment you made about the tongue-in-cheek comment you made about Tino Best, which normally would let that go by outside the land, the off stump, But in actual fact, I did run into a couple of local cricketers a few months ago, and they told me that Tino still bowls at a pretty a pretty
Yes,
rapid rate, and that's
yes.
their words, not mine. I mean, I don't face him. And I haven't even been privileged to see a lot of Pickwick's games in recent times. But that's what the players who are out there said to me. But moving on from that though, as you said, the declaration probably wouldn't come. There are 2 days left unless the weather's bad. No need to do that. But I guess West Indies have got to find some way of coming out of this game without being mentally, what should I say, a totally, traumatized, so to speak, because there's still other test matches to be played.
Philip, you have a saying that if you are accustomed being beaten, you don't look to win. They have not won for so long now that they losing this match is not going to phase them very much because they do not have the intestinal fortitude. In fact, they don't even have the love for to represent the West Indies. They are just there because they are being paid. There's no commit, and this is me. I am saying it. I can look at them and you can see that there's no commitment to country. They're just playing the cricket. Because if you look, well, you always say that we know you're a table tennis player. You're not much of a cricketer. But let me tell you, cricketers will tell you, we used to say, if I can't get runs off of you, you are not going to get me out today. And we would frustrate bowlers. You would get behind them and even take some knocks on your body. The cricketers nowadays, they're not of that making because they do not recognize they're not playing for a flag, they're not playing for an anthem. They're just playing because they're being paid. And until but I do not blame the cricketer. And let us get to this the truth. We have to put the blame squarely on the administrators of the cricket, not the cricketers. Because if you pick me, I'm going to play. As the person that who is in charge, and you being an educator, you know that you are teacher, and if your children were leaving primary school and can't read and write, the ministry can ask you, you are stealing my money. And right now, the administrators just stealing the best time, pretending to feel like they know what they're doing. We are at a loss. Cricket director, the board, the management. I thought, well, Sammy, until we recognize that we cannot play limited overs cricket in white clothes, that we are playing test cricket. So you have to play a different type of cricket. We are going to continue to be lamenting the performances of our team.
You need to say no more, Hartley Reid. I'll just add to that by saying that I think the England camp, Joe Root, on day one of the Ashes test, I think sent that message throughout the camp that test cricket is test cricket. It is not 5-day bush cricket. and coming in at 5 for 2, he played a test knock. And as the game evolved and it got down to the final half hour or so and the situation changed, then we saw that Joe Root is capable of finding the boundary and going beyond the boundary, as capable as Harry Brook or any of the guys who believe that Test cricket should finish in 2 days, even if they lose. So your point is well made. I think Joe Root has gone a distance in showing England that Test cricket is more than just fours and sixes, but that there's room for fours and sixes. And now, as you suggested, it is now left for the West Indies camp to learn that too. Thanks, Hartley Reid. Look forward to chatting with you as the game and series progresses.
You are welcome, my friend. Have a good day.